Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic. So this is another Dune video. And it's another criticism of Denis Villeneuve's Dune. So this is from Sci-Fi Wire, and the article's a bit old, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. And actually, the person who wrote this article actually did a video about them probably about a couple weeks ago. And the video was about religious appropriation. And so the author is Hannah Flint. She's the author of this article. And so the article goes on, it's about representation. So it goes on to say why Arab and Islamic representation matters in the new Dune. So I'm not going to go through the whole article because it is quite long. When you're a person of Arab descent, you've often resigned yourself to the fact that you won't be seeing a lot of people who look like you in mainstream cinema. Or if you do, those people will be playing wives, cab drivers, or terrorists. Actually, in most cases, terrorists. That's why when it was announced that Dune was being adapted for a second time, I was hyped. Frank Herbert's sci-fi fantasy is one of the most celebrated novels of the last century, and a lot of its characters, language, social theory, and religious imagery were borrowed from Arabic and Islamic culture. So I'm just going to go through it and kind of pick out the key points here. Now the author just kind of goes through and basically the next few paragraphs just talks about where Herbert got all the terms and sayings and stuff. So and how he was inspired. So I'm just going to skip over that and hit the key points here that I want to talk about. So anyway, then the author goes on to say here in this article, after she goes through all the details of where he got all the words and how Dune was influenced by Islam and Arabic culture, she goes on to say, I could go into further detail, but what's abundantly clear is this. Dune and the subsequent books in the series would be nothing without the influence of the Arab and Islamic world. So to learn that no Middle Eastern or North African actor has been announced in the cast to play any of the leading Fremen actors is a letdown. Instead, it has been reported that Zendaya, a biracial black actress, is in talks to play warrior Chani, and Javier Bardem, a Spanish actor, might be taking on the role of Fremen leader Stilgar. Well, we know both of those actors have been casted. These two are both talented actors, of course, but to erase the Arab identity from the characters that they play is the equivalent to whitewashing. It is on par with Scarlett Johansson playing Major Moto Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell, or Joseph Fiennes playing Michael Jackson in the series Urban Myths, and both those casting decisions were met with far more outrage than these Dune ones. Just to touch on the Scarlett Johansson thing, they always say that's whitewashing. That's actually not true. In the original manga, it is explained that the android body that Major Kusanagi gets is android body that looks like a white woman. So it's not whitewashing. And that's what the author intended it for it to be. So that's just like a white person thing. That's they freak out about that. But over in Japan, they don't care. As for the Joseph Fiennes playing Michael Jackson, really can't argue with that. That was stupid casting choice for Michael Jackson. So now the interesting thing about this article that's going to be different from the last one I did is I mostly agree with this article to a certain point. I mostly agree, but up to a point. This is probably because, certainly in the case of Zendaya, people are just happy that a woman of color is playing the role and are unaware of the Arab-Islamic influence on Herbert's original text. The movie and TV series contributed to this erasure because they were completely whitewashed too. However, there are some people who recognize the problem with this one ethnicity fits all casting. Herbert relies on the fact that you don't know Arabic Islamic history to lend the story exoticism and fantasy. Argued in a Twitter thread. Just because you see brown faces on a cast list, you shouldn't applaud, because clearly all minorities aren't created equal in the eyes of Hollywood. I think they call this coloring in social justice circles. And it goes on to say, Arabs and Arab allies, Muslims and Muslim allies need to stand up and make a fuss about this movie. They need to demand to see Arab faces, or else Dune will just join the list of movies that, if not outright racist with Arab Islamic history, work to erase it. This is one thing I could never get with these people. They always equate being a Muslim to a certain race. Islam is a religion. Anyone can be a Muslim. They just have to convert to Islam. I could be a Muslim tomorrow. I could just go and convert to Islam. And at the end of the week, I'd be a Muslim. And the other thing, just projecting Dune, to say like 20,000 years into the future that this movie is set, the Zenzuni wanderers, they've wandered from planet to planet to planet before they finally settled on Dune. So how many other different groups did they get to join their religion over the thousands of years that are not of Arab descent? So the Fremen would probably be a more of a diverse group, I would think. And they also have their religions also rooted in Buddhism. So shouldn't Buddhists also have like representation in this movie alongside the Arabs? Now, I know there are some Muslims that watch this channel, so I'm really curious to know what you guys think of this article. So now when they talk about erasing Islamic history, I think they're just talking about erasing it from the film. Maybe that's kind of true if you don't know anything about Dune, but I think most of the people that are going to go see this movie, especially if anyone who's a diehard Dune fan who's read the book, have read a lot about where the story of Dune comes from and Frank Herbert and where he got his ideas. So anyone who's a hardcore fan of the book series know all about the Arab-Islamic connection. So you're not going to erase it from those people. And then it goes on to talk about some of the other choices they could have had with the casting. It goes on, there are plenty of MENA stars out there who are toiling away in sidelines of film and TV. Aisha Hart. So she mentions Aisha Hart and a few other people who could have been in this film. That's the other thing. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch upon, now I do agree up to a certain point. Now, I don't agree that because this movie doesn't have any Arab actors that, Arabs are going to be really hard done by this. And when they talk about erasing Arab identity, I think they just mean from the film. I don't think they mean that if people go see that film, they'll forget who Arab people are or anything like that. But now, the one thing I do agree on is the choice of Zendaya as Chani. So when I first heard about this movie, I thought for sure, especially because of the big push for social justice these days, I thought almost for sure they were going to have Arab people casted in this movie, for sure. And as names start coming out, I was actually surprised that there were no Arab actors in this movie. Now, before Chani was casted, before the role of Chani was casted with Zendaya, I kind of did a video kind of speculating on what kind of actresses, could potentially be in this role. And one of the actresses is actually mentioned in this article, Aisha Hart. So I got a picture of her here ready. So this is the actress they're talking about. This is the Arabic actress Aisha Hart that they said could play the role of Chani. Now, I've watched a few clips of her acting on YouTube, and they seem to be pretty good. She seems to be like pretty good actress. And Zendaya, I only know of her from Spider-Man Homecoming, and I didn't like the character she played. So there's a little bit of that taint. But now whether or not she's going to be good in Dune, I don't know. I'll have to see the movie first. But this is one of the actresses I picked out that I would like to have seen cast as Chani. Because when I read the Dune books and I read the character of Chani, basically this actress is what I picture in my mind. As what Chani looks like. So I think I agree with the article. I think they should have went with this girl instead of Zendaya. Because when I did all my Dune videos covering all the different people that were cast, when I did the one about when Zendaya was cast as Chani, a lot of people in the comment section weren't really down with that choice. I myself being one of them, but I'm still giving Zendaya a chance. I want to see how she does in the role. But I think I would have been more excited if this girl was cast as Chani. But now here's the truth behind it all. Now it's a good sentiment to have, and you know, you'd love to see all these Arab actors casted in this film, but the story of Dune is something I think that's going to be hard to sell to just the general movie-going audiences. If you're a fan of the book, I mean, I'm sold. They've already got me sold. Like, you don't have to try to sell me on this movie. Or people that are into the book, like, we're going to the movie theater. We're seeing this thing when it comes out. But now the general movie audience who haven't read the book, that's where the challenge is going to be. So I think the thinking is they're going to throw as many big name actors in this movie to help sell it. To help sell this movie. Because if you got a bunch of unknown Arab actors in this movie, as good of a sentiment as that be, the chances of this being a big hit would be greatly reduced. And then what would that do for Arab culture? Because then no one would even go see the movie anyway. At least this way, people will go see the movie and probably make the connection in their head, well, this seems like, you know, this is, they might make the connection, or they might get them into the books, and then they'll get the connection between the Arab Islamic connection to Dune. So it just comes down to dollars and cents. They want to have this movie come out with as strong of a forward foot as they can. So that's why they're getting all these big name cast members. Hopefully that itself will help push the movie and help sell it. Now, with that being said, I think there's enough big name stars already in this film that you could have still went with an unknown for Chani, like Aisha Hart, instead of Zendaya. Because when I did all my Dune videos talking about all the different cast members, the one that did get a lot of pushback in the comment section was the casting of Zendaya for this film. And it was kind of not really all that cracked up about her being cast as Chani either. But with that said, I'm still going to give her a chance and see what she can do for the role when the movie comes out. Now, overall, do I think this is going to harm the film? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to harm the movie. I think the movie's still going to do good. I'm still on board to go see it. And can't wait for it to come out. So yeah, I do kind of agree. I do see the point. I kind of agree with this article, but it is what it is, and I have to see how the movie does when it comes out. But the choice here of Aisha Hart, that's something in this article I do agree with 100%. I would have rather have seen her cast as Chani than Zendaya. But I understand the casting choice because Zendaya is a big name, kind of a hot name right now because of the Spider-Man movies and stuff, and she was one of the Disney child actors. So, interesting article, but that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.